Okay, this is the last one. This is just a brief presentation on asset turnover, and it's one of the ratios that we use to analyze how a company's really doing. And this is looking at Kroger, which is a national supermarket chain, and they've got this data. Okay, they gave us total revenue and then assets at the beginning of the year and end of the year. I'm going to tell you. They want us to compute the asset turnover, and then they tell you that Tiffany's had one of 0.86. Why would theirs be lower, for example, than Kroger's? And the thing of it is that when you go to different industries, then you invite a whole bunch of variables in. So generally, when you do ratio analysis, you're doing it within an industry. You know what I mean? Unless you're doing a big major comparison of let's say, merchandising to construction, you know, something like that. So what the formula is net sales divided by average total assets. Now what we use in the book are a simple average, and that is just the beginning of year plus the end of the year divided by 2. Now at work, you'll probably at least use a weighted, like a monthly average, okay, or even by days, because computers can do all that so easily. But what we do is just a simple average. So beginning of year plus the end of the year divided by 2 gives us an average. And what that does is it gives us sales relative to total assets. Okay, so you would think that the more assets you have, the more sales you would have. Okay, so like here's just an example. If we had sales of 50,000 on average assets of 10, my asset turnover would be 5. Okay, but if those sales were 120,000 on assets of 10, then that sales turnover would be 12. So higher is better. All right, but it's hard to do this with 1 year alone. You want to compare it to a prior year, you know, something like that. So for Kroger's, it would be, our income is 108,445. 445 for 65, divided by 30,556 plus 29,281 divided by 2. Okay, so you might want to do that first and then come up with your number. But what that gives us is 3.63. Okay, that's the number. And then they tell us that, you know, that Tiffany's had an asset turnover of 0.86, which is even less. And how come? It's because they're very different, you know. Tiffany sells jewelry with a much, you know, longer operating cycle, whereas food turns over like every 2 days. Okay, so your sales would be higher. But you really got to look at a lot of different things. Like if you look at the gross profit percentage, I'm going to say gross profit percentage, okay? Gross profit percentage for Kroger was 21.2%. And for Tiffany, it was 59.7%. Okay? So the margin in a grocery is a lot tighter, a lot lower than it would be in a jewelry store. All right, so that's just a piece of the picture, one more ratio in your arsenal. Okay.